those tier 2s and tier 3 land plots seem like the best value. In my last video, I showed you a calculator that can show the expected return from your Illuvium 0 land. With some suggestions from the community, I was able to update the numbers to show more accurate expectations. But I took it even further, and I added an ROI calculator that can show you which plots of lands are the best deal on the IMX marketplace. And you can also plug in the land that you purchased and the price you purchased it at to see what your ROI is. Before I get into it, I just have to say this video is for entertainment purposes only, and this is not financial advice. Alright, so if you did watch my previous video, you'll see that this top calculator here is pretty similar. It does have some updates. One of the big things I wanted to point out for the in-game revenue, this is not all revenue generated from Illuvium. This is just the in-game purchases. So the fuel purchased in the main game and only that which is purchased with Ethereum. Because while SILV2 can still be minted from staking rewards, that can be purchased at a cheaper price, and when that is used in-game, it burns the underlying ILV token, which basically means it's not revenue for Illuvium. So that will cause these numbers to be a little lower at first. But again, if you're looking at this like a longer-term investment and you plan to hold for 3 to 5 years or even longer, then in my opinion, this does start looking like a much better investment. So I won't go too much into this, but I just wanted to show again what these numbers might look like. So if we went with a real bear case of $100 million of that in-game revenue per year, right now we just have no renter. What the updated numbers show here, it actually makes the tier 1 and the tier 2 land look a little worse, and then the tier 3 and the tier 4 land look a little better. So again, at this revenue, a tier 1 might only bring in $56 per year, but that tier 2 you're up at $222, and then $670, and then over $2,000 for a tier 4. Now, if we're looking more at that high end, let's say Illuvium brings in $250 million, then an earnings for a tier 1 is going to be closer to $1,400, and that's going to scale up to $50,000 for a tier 4. And you can type in the days if you want to look at that per month. This would mean a tier 4 would get you about 115 per month, a tier 2 460-ish, and then the tier 3 and the tier 4 start looking a lot better. Tier 3 with about $1,400 and a tier 4 with about $4,100 per month. Now you can also add in a scholar. If you wanted to give a scholar 20%, it'll show you what you're getting and what the renter is getting. Now let's see how we can use this to look at an ROI for the land. So if you see down here, I have 4 different sections. This second section here is about what the mint price was during the land sale in terms of Ethereum. This third section here is the mint price if you were able to mint it in SILV2. And then this fourth one is what the floor prices are on the IMX marketplace with the current price of Ethereum. And then this first section, I will get to this a little later. I'm going to show you how you can utilize that for yourself. And on top of all this, I'm actually going to leave a link for this document right in the description below so you can take a look. It is on the numbers program, but I've been told that you can download it to Excel and it still functions pretty well. So these purple columns are the return on your investment in terms of days. I do plan on playing one plot of land from each of the 4 tiers, and I'll be making videos on the returns I'm able to get along the way. So if that interests you, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel right now. And what's cool is that these numbers will adjust as you adjust what you expect Illuvium to make in revenue per year. You can see those numbers adjusting down. And this will also take into consideration what you're giving for a renter. So say you had a renter at 50% and you wanted to buy a new tier 1 land, but that 345 days just seemed like it was too much for you. Well, then one thing you could do is just lower the percentage that you're giving to the renter, and that will decrease the days you needed to get that return on investment. Now, really, if we just pick any number over here, let's go with $2 billion in revenue. You can look down at here at the IMX floor and see what's a good investment, and we'll take that renter percentage down to 0. And then if you look at the IMX floor, using this calculator, you can easily tell which tier of land is the best bang for your buck right. And if you look at the floor price for a tier 4 and a tier 1, you're looking at more days before you hit that return on investment. But then the tier 2 and the tier 3 have much quicker returns on investment. So again, not financial advice, but according to these numbers, right now, if you're going to be purchasing land and you can choose between any of the 4, those tier 2s and tier 3 land plots seem like the best value. But what was actually a better value is that if you were able to mint these using SILV2. You can see with these same assumed numbers, minting in SILV2 gave you a shorter duration to get your return on investment. Now let's get over to this first section. So how you can use this one is that if you have a chunk of money that you want to buy some land and you're not sure how you want to go about it, what you can do is you could plug in the price for Ethereum here. You can look and say for tier 1 land, they're going for 0.33 Ethereum, and say you wanted to buy 12 plots. With these numbers, you're looking at a 216-day return on investment. But if you're going to have the 12 plots, you're not going to be able to play it all yourself. So if you go over to this renter section, as you plug in a percentage for your renters, you can see the ROI change in the lower calculator. So again, in this scenario, if you gave a renter 40%, it might take 360 days to get your return on investment. But if you lowered that to say 15% for your renter, then you can lower your return on investment to about 254 days. All right, so if you wanted to get, say, 5 tier 3 lands, they're about 3 Ethereum. And then you can see you're able to give a renter possibly as low as 1% to get a return in 165 days. But say you bump that up, so you're giving the scholar for your tier 3 land, this would be about 5%, as you can see right here. And then you could get a return on that in about 172 days. And just a couple other notes that I had here. I was told by a community member that they heard that these plots of lands could be played in around 5 to 15 minutes per day, which is lower than the 20 to 30 minutes that we've heard Kieran say in an interview. So that could be better for getting your return. Maybe you're able to play more of these lands by yourself. Another thing to consider is that even though these tier 1 and tier 2 returns look like they might start off pretty slow and pretty low, don't forget that as long as this game grows, the appreciation in the value of the land itself over time should go up, and you might decide to choose to sell land at a much higher price, and that's how you get your return. These numbers are based on efficiency, and by efficiency I mean like whether you're targeting your land to produce as much fuel as possible, or if you're using your land to try to farm blueprints and make skins. And with that being said, if it was up to me, I would be using my tier 1 and possibly tier 2 lands to focus more on finding those blueprints. It is going to be more like gambling and playing the lottery to whether you find a blueprint and if that's a good blueprint. But I think that's going to be a better way to find a good return from those tier 1 and tier 2 plots. And then when you're looking at the tier 3 and tier 4 plots, I think those are the lands that should be focusing more on that fuel, because they just have a much bigger advantage with boost and fuel sites to be able to make a return on that. I really hope you found this video valuable, and I want you to let me know down in the comments what type of content you want to see from me next. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next video.